Hello, folks. Welcome to a live broadcast with Alan Hernandez of White Picket Realty and AG Gupt of Real Acquisitions. I appreciate everybody taking the time to watch this broadcast. This is a series of events that we do over the web where we'd like to talk with some movers and shakers in the real estate investment world and get their thoughts and ideas on what's happening in their business, around them, and as thought leaders, where do they feel the real estate investment industry is heading in general. So I'm pretty excited to have a gentleman that I'm honored to call my friend. We've known each other for some time. We move in common circles, and Alan Hernandez, from the time that I've known him, has always come across as somebody who's really been a mover and shaker in the local real estate market. So, Alan, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you, AG? Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity for being able to speak to your group here.
Good stuff here. So, Alan, tell us a little about yourself, how you got started in real estate investment world in general. Just a little bit about your background. I know it's a very interesting story.
Okay, yeah, I have a pretty neat story. I went to college in Florida State, and I love the Seminoles. Go Noles! If you guys watch football at all, you know that we're the #1 ranked school right now, or actually maybe #2. But regardless, when I was there, I realized early on I didn't want to be in a 9 to 5. And when you go to school, that's what you're prepped for, to leave, to be in a 9 to 5 every day. And I knew very early on I wasn't going to make it, AG. I wasn't the kind of guy that really liked to show up every day and get yelled at if you were a minute late and that kind of stuff. And I saw my parents go through some of that.
Keep going.
Really took to heart, and I started knocking on some doors. I mean, I was 19, 20 years old, knocking on random people's doors just to see if I could find the owners of vacant houses in a neighborhood that I thought had some value. And it took me about 3 months, but I finally found the owners of a vacant house that had a lot of potential in my eyes. And I called a few bandit signs that I saw around town, and I said, listen, I have this deal. They want this much. It's probably not the greatest deal on earth, but tell me what you can pay me for it if you want it. And they offered me $1,000. They closed 3 weeks later, and when I had that $1,000 in my hand, AG, I didn't know what to do with it. 20-year-old kid in college, that was more beer money than anyone else had around me, and of course everybody thought I was rich. And that was the moment that I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew that I wasn't going to do anything else. So I decided to start an investment business. Now, of course, when you start an investment business, what do you need? You need money. And as a college kid, I only had somewhat what was left over of the $1,000 after I took all my friends out. So I decided to join an investment company that was already in the works, understood what they were doing. A few years ago, we decided to part ways, and I decided to start White Picket. And White Picket Realty now is one of the fastest growing investment groups here in Houston. We focus on buying as many properties as we can. We have eight contracts on properties that they feel are good investment, have good investment potential. We cherry pick the best ones, the ones that fit our model, and then we wholesale the rest out to the circle of people that we trust here in Houston. Does that give you an idea of where I come from and how I got here?
It is. It's always exciting to hear of students finding their calling in life that early. I constantly meet people, especially in our circles, people that are still in their middle ages and still figuring out what's next for them. It's exciting to have young people know what they really want to do with their life.
I know I'm very blessed. I meet people all the time, and you're absolutely right. Even the investors that I meet with, like for example, some of the guys that invest in our company passively, they're in their late 40s, late 50s, and many of them have the same story. They wish they could have gotten into real estate earlier so that they didn't have to do the 9 to 5. And a lot of them work as attorneys, and they like their careers for a few years, and then they find it a drag, and they really wish they could have stuck to what they really loved. And that's something that I'm really blessed with. I get a chance to get up every day and do something that I really like to do. And to me, buying houses and making deals and negotiating them and bringing in people and working them together and rehabbing and all the little stuff that we do on an everyday basis, it's so exciting. I mean, it's tough to wake up and not want to go to work, even when you're sick sometimes. I mean, I find myself, with a cold and sitting here at the office just cranking away.
So let's dig a little deeper into the White Picket brand. Um, Obviously, with the sudden surge in the last year and a half, in the personal real estate investment market, like we call it, the sub 2025 per year market, somebody who's buying less than 2025 homes or properties per year. There's been such a huge interest, as you and I know, over the years, in the last year and a half, that is, because of which a lot of players have come into the industry, a lot of service providers like Real Acquisitions, where we provide distress data, for example, wholesalers, end-to-end modelers. So my question is, how does White Picket Realty, as a investment house slash as a wholesaler, separates itself in the market space?
There's two things that we do really, really well, and it took me a while to figure this out. Once I got started, I went the route that everyone else goes and said, well, we're a company just like everyone else that buys houses, and threw out bandit signs that say we buy houses and whatever else everyone else does. But eventually we realized one thing. The main thing is that we are not just a house buying company. We are a marketing company. And once that was really clear to us, we understood where we were going and how we were going to get there. The biggest difference between with what White Picket does and what everyone else that's trying to get into this business is that we have a really good perception and a grasp of our market and how we're going to reach out to them. So we realize people that need help to sell their houses, where are they going to go? They're going to go to the internet. They're going to talk to their friends. So we're not the guys that are going to go out there and put a billboard up just so that other people will recognize our brand. We're the guys that are reaching out directly to someone that types in, I'm going into foreclosure into Google, or has anything in their Facebook page that says, hey, I need help. What do you guys recommend? We're targeting those people directly through different marketing campaigns, but those are the guys that we're really reaching out to, and that's what creates results for us. The second thing that we do is we can rehab one heck of a house. So once we do acquire a property, let's say Joe Schmo decides to sell his house, he's going through just a bad time in life, he needs to sell it in the next 10 days, or he loses it. We pick it up, hopefully we get a good enough deal to where we can put some more money into it, rehab it, put it back on market, and then make a little bit of money there as well. So those are the two money makers on our end. Of course, when we come across a deal that we can keep as a rental, we'll do that as well. But in my opinion, there's two ways in this business to make money, and a lot of people chase one or the other. So some people really, really like chasing the fast nickels, the small fees, but you just do a ton of them. You do 20 wholesale deals a month, and you make 3 to 5 grand each. Sometimes you get lucky and you make more, and that's fine. You can chase that model, but it's a lot of work. Wholesaling is really, really good for us. It pays the bills. It pays our agents a really, really great income. I mean, we have agents that are making 6 figures here just from helping us find houses, and we like it because it gives us the opportunity to find and filter through more deals. But where we really make a lot of money is by being able to cherry pick some of those deals and say, okay, this one needs a little bit of work, but it's worth a whole lot more, and we can pick the best ones and make money off of there. Those are the slow dimes, and then make money off of the fast nickels too.
So in terms of marketing, I think many people hearing this call are or hearing this broadcast are relatively new investors. And we'll come back and talk a little bit more about that market. But one of the questions I constantly get asked in today's world is what kind of marketing is working to purchase off the street direct from seller houses these days. And I know for a fact that you're one of those few people that does a lot of alternate or a different approach towards traditional marketing. So can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell you right now, I can't remember the last time I threw a bandit sign. In fact, I don't even really want to buy houses from bandit signs, because most of the areas where bandit signs work are generally lower income areas where maybe people don't have access to the internet. The way I see it right now, you're going to target your people in two ways. You're going to target them through the internet, through Google AdWords, through Facebook, through social media campaigns. We do a lot of social media branding. That works really well. And then the really the best way, and sometimes you got to get creative with this, is mailing campaigns. Now, again, if you're going to do mailings and you're going to send out, I'll show you one that I got yesterday on one of my own houses. If you're going to send out this letter here and it says, my name is such and such, I want to buy your house as is, please call me. People get, probably hundreds of these letters per year when they're in any of the lists that we send out to. Your letter versus their letter is the same thing.
I'm saying I promise 80% of them are being generated from real acquisitions.
and there's two approaches there. So there's the mass marketing approach. So if you send out enough of these, eventually somebody will call you and eventually you'll buy a house. But you got to send out enough of them, and that generally means a lot. Now, I'm not opposed to that. I do some mass marketing mailers, but I do it for branding reasons. So, for example, if I send out a mass marketing mailer, it's going to be more of a postcard. It'll have nice colors to it. It'll say what we are, who we are, what we do, how we can help them. And I know that from postcards, I'm not going to get a lot of results. I'm going to get, most people are going to pick up a postcard and chunk it in the trash. I mean, I do that all the time when I get my mail. If I get something from one of the corner stores nearby or whatever, I throw them away. But I see them, and that's the important thing there. Now, what we want to do is we want to target specific scenarios. We want to target specific people, and really, that's one of the reasons why we love real acquisition so much, is because we have the ability to target people that we know are going to be a little bit more interested in selling their house. They're going to be a little bit more motivated versus just sending out a mass campaign to an entire neighborhood, which may or may not work.
I see. So mass mailing you still do. Any particular kinds of mass mailers or distresses that you like to focus on?
Yeah, in my opinion, I'm interested in building a brand. I want to build a brand at any given moment in anything that I'm doing. So yeah, mass mailers for me are going to be a nice postcard, well designed, are going to have a nice picture of my team or us closing a deal with a seller, something that will make it feel warm and fuzzy, and they'll have the name up top, so that next time when they do receive this letter from me and my name is at the bottom, they'll make a connection. There's a connection to be made there. Now, we have realized it takes about 4 to 5 connections for people to really understand who they are and who you are, and to trust you. If you think about it, the big brands, the big companies out there, what do? They put their brand in front of you at any given moment. You see them on billboards, you see them on TV, any other media that they can think of, radio, et cetera, et cetera. and they may not be actually marketing a special deal or marketing anything in specific. They're just getting their name out to you, because when it's time for you to use that specific service or that specific product, their name should be fresh on your mind.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. So let's dig a little deeper on the online, because I think that's still a industry that marketing online is not something that a lot of people still understand.
Mm-hmm.
So where are you seeing your best results coming from? Are you seeing it from Google? Are you seeing it from Facebook?
Well, here's
Or
the
anyone
thing.
else?
Google AdWords is a great place to market, but the the investor that's just getting into this business, I probably wouldn't recommend doing it unless you have someone that really knows how to do it. I'll tell you, my first Google campaign, my very first one, I decided to run by myself because, heck, I figured I was smart enough to do it. And I consider myself a smart person, but I'll tell you what, the first day I spent $5,000 on Google AdWords, and I didn't buy a single house from it. And you know who helped me set up that campaign?
Google.
Yeah. Google called me and said, "Hey, I'll help you set up your campaign." And I said, and they said, "What do you want to spend?" I said, "Well, I don't want to spend that much. I want to kind of keep it this way. I want to have a budget." "Oh, no, 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 that's not going to work." And so, now I realize it was just a matter of them selling me into spending a ton of money and not getting really anything out of it. Once I understood what that campaign was doing, it was literally just throwing out random dollars for any random keyword just to see if it would hit. And that's not the way you got to do it either. Even with Google, you have to be targeted as to who you're approaching. You have to understand who is looking you up and why they would look you up and what keywords they're going to put in there. And then the way that it works is you have to bid for those keywords. So when you're bidding for those keywords, if you and I are bidding on the same keyword, essentially whoever pays the most shows up at the top. And so we have, for example, right now a few keywords that are in the $50 range every time someone clicks it. And again, if you're going to get into that aspect, start small, understand how it is it works. Don't put a huge budget in place because you'll blow through it really, really quick. And then look for someone, a group, a company, someone that can help you set that up and really understand how that works, because realistically, it's not something that you want to do on your own. It really just doesn't get you anywhere. The thing that you can do on your own, if you want to talk a little bit about that, because I get that question a lot, is, I'm ready to get started. I want to start wholesaling, or I'm ready to get started. I want to buy more rehabs, but none of the wholesalers that I work with are bringing me any deals. Have you gotten that recently?
Absolutely. That's a word on the street, right?
Yeah, I get that and say, well, I want to be the next, the first person to buy your next good deal. And, sometimes I have to let them down easy and say, look, the next good deal that comes through here is probably going to be mine. But let me show you how you can do it. And it's not that difficult. I mean, there's no real science to this. So the first thing you have to have is access to data. You have to have somewhere where you can grab a list. So Rural Acquisitions happens to be one of those. And by the way, guys, I'm not getting paid for this. Rural Acquisitions is something that we actually use for our everyday tasks. We also use other sources like listsource.com, where you can buy lists and say, I want to target these people. I want to target this scenario. You can say maybe I want to target people who are 30 days late on their mortgages, or I want to target divorce cases. I want to target tax liens, people who owe taxes and are going to lose their houses to the county. Those are people that are motivated, and it's not very expensive to put that list together, send out a couple hundred letters a week, and start picking up the phone. It's the same thing as when a wholesaler calls you and says, hey, I got this deal, do you want to buy it? You're still going to negotiate it. You're still going to go out there and look at it. It's pretty much the same principle. In this case, you're dealing directly with the seller, and there are a ton of resources out there, real estate agents and even other wholesalers who would be more than happy to help you put a contract together if you do come across a deal that makes sense. Would you agree, AJ?
Absolutely, and I think that's the trick. And I will dig a little deeper in that. Is that it's not just in today's real estate investment world, Alan. I don't think it's about just a list because the world is changing so fast. Our industry is becoming almost like stock and equity trading. A list that was good 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago is today not as effective. Just like you cannot base your stock investing based on information on a stock from a month ago. So we always recommend and suggest to our clients that don't think of a list. Think of what's happening in the market space as of this morning. That's why at Real Acquisitions, we don't even talk about lists. We talk about who is in trouble. When you get up in the morning, that's when you want to find out who's in trouble. And that's the reason that the the leads that we provide are live. There is no list business there. But great tips overall. How about this? In the market space right now,
Absolutely.
um, I know you're one of the few people that knows and understands the rehab business very well. Can you elaborate on that?
Repeat that question because you broke up a little bit, AG.
I'm sorry. I'm saying in the market space, you are one of the few investment houses that understands the rehab business. There is so much misinformation about rehabbing in general. What I want to ask you is in today's market, in local markets, if you are a rehabber, what is working and what is not working?
Okay, that's a great question. The beautiful thing about being a rehabber right now is that you are at the peak of the market. Now, how long that peak is going to last for is unknown, and so you want to be careful when you're first getting started by coming into the business and getting into business fresh, because there is a learning curve involved. For the guys that are already doing it, for example, I've been rehabbing houses since 2006. Right now, this year has been my heyday. Pretty much everything I can pick up and do a little bit of work to, I'm going to sell. I know it'll sell, and it's going to sell within 10 to 15 days max. I haven't had one sit on the market for more than that this entire year. Now, what's working really well, there's two things. In hot areas and areas with low days on market, you don't have to go in there and really do a lot anymore. You have to just fix what's broken. So if it has a foundation issue, if it has a bad roof, you may want to get an inspection and fix the things that will keep it from passing, and then get it back on the market. That works for us really, really well. Not our bread and butter. We don't really like to put out product that doesn't look and feel amazing, but I'm telling you it works because it works for us. We do those all the time. The second thing, big rehabs. Those have never stopped working. I like them. Those are really my favorite, the stuff that you can take down to the studs, make them brand new, make them feel great. And with those, what we're seeing is because the market is so hot and there's a need for that product, we're generally setting a comp on some of those. So on most of those, they may appraise for one number or the other, and we may get 20 to 30 grand above that number, and the seller or the buyers are still willing to pay that. Now, finding those deals is the really hard part because there's a lot of competition for those deals right now. The other thing that we see right now a lot of is building. So a lot of rehabbers have gone from let me just rehab a house to let me find a lot, let me put a brand new house on it, or maybe split that lot into three and put 3 townhomes and sell that. And there's a lot of money to be made on that. Again, the biggest problem that I'm finding, and I'll tell you, I had 3 guys about a month back walk in here and say, we want to be on your buyers list. We know that you have a lot of inventory, and we understand that you're going to take some, but we want the rest. And I said, wonderful. Let's figure out a way to work together. But why are you coming to me? You guys have been doing this for a long time. And gee, these are guys that have been in the business for a long time. They made their money solely off of rehabbing. But the problem that they were having is supply. They weren't able to find the supply as easily as you used to. Now, the reason that is because there are a lot more investors getting into the business right now. Now, everyone knows, okay, we're in a good market. If you get the right deal, If you fix it up, it's going to sell. So all of the people that were on the sideline before are not coming in. What that means is that if I meet with a seller, that seller will likely also meet with 10 other investors, whether they're brand new or seasoned, it doesn't matter, but they're getting a lot more options. What that does is that drives up the price. In order for me to buy that property, I have to buy that property in two ways. I either have to overpay for it, which makes it not make much sense as a potential flip, or I have to find a way to be creative and give the seller exactly what they want and buy it creatively. So, you know, in those terms, the rehabber that's out there has to be really smart. The rehabber has to have a good network. They have to have maybe put in some time and some money into sending out their own mailing list, they're putting together their own marketing campaign so that they can have the opportunity to flip more properties. If you ask me, if somebody was to ask me right now, is this a good time to jump into rehabbing? My answer is absolutely yes. Jump into rehabbing while it's good, and you can make a lot of money doing it. Just so you get an idea, and AG, let me know if I ramble too much here.
No, you're fine, man. Keep going.
I bought a house about 2 months ago from a wholesaler here in town that was so overpriced that no other rehabber would pick it up, right? And so when I called this guy, I said, listen, you have this other house, and I want it, and it's an okay deal. But if you sell me that one at the price that you're asking, I'll also buy this other one, which is overpriced, and I know you're having a hard time selling it. And so it worked out. I was able to pick up both of them. I didn't have to fight much for the price on the one that I wanted in exchange for giving him, you know, or buying this other deal, which was maybe in his mind a junk deal. Now, I ran the numbers, and a lot of people base their numbers off of loan to value. I don't buy my houses on loan to value anymore. The 70% rule, 80% rule, or whatever, 65% rule that everyone uses, to me, is dead. But in this case, this was an 88% deal, 88% loan to value. Now, mind you, in most people's minds, they're taught that if it's not a 65 to 70% deal, it's a no deal. Am I right?
Absolutely. Formula from the 1960s.
Exactly. So when I offered to buy this property, the wholesaler asked me, he goes, what are you going to do with it, man? I mean, is there something that I'm missing here or something that I'm not catching? And I said, listen, don't worry about it. Let me handle it. I'll show you how you can make money on this, and if you want to do it together next time, we can. So what we ended up doing, and this will show you how amazing this market is, we did an inspection on it. We fixed the foundation, which was the only thing that was really wrong with it. The rest of the house needed to be updated. It was a 1960s home. You know, it had the pink Pepto-Bismol tile in the bathrooms. The wood floors were worn. They were, I mean, you could obviously tell there was a lot of wear and tear on the house. But besides the foundation and the plumbing underneath, it was a livable house, you know, if you could fix that. So we spent about $7,000 in fixing that house, and literally just fixed the foundation and the plumbing. We paid a company here in town, Simply Staged, to go out there and just lightly stage it. I don't think we spent more than like $1,000 for just a really light staging package. We took professional pictures and we loaded it on MLS as an auction property. Now, mind you, my payoff on that property was about $90,000. Okay, that's what I was into it for, including repairs.
Mm-hmm.
The best offer that I had from an investor was $85,000, so I was looking at taking a $5,000 loss. We put it on the market at that $90,000 and said, look, we're just going to take the best offer we can get, and this is the date, this is the time, show up if you want to bid on it, and as long as you submit your deposit, you can do so. So at the day of the auction that we set up, we had 32 people show up ready to bid on that property. And my bid price started at $75,000, so I was willing to take a little bit of a hit. And you wouldn't believe that within 5 minutes of this thing going live, we had $115,000 on the table for that property.
Wow.
and it closed. It closed 2 weeks later. I mean, we didn't make a ton of money on there, but I'll tell you that entire transaction took me 6 weeks, literally from purchase, rehab to closing on it on the back end. And I think I may have netted maybe 12 to 13 thousand dollars, but I did it without really doing much. I maybe saw the house 2 times, if that, and it was easy money.
The location must have been great. What was the location of the house, if I may ask?
that was that was the that was the key factor to it. I think it was over here in Sharpstown where my office is at, and there's a lot of interest in this area right
Yeah,
now. So we had a lot of people show up for it.
good stuff.
You can do that in other areas of town. I mean, it doesn't have to
Absolutely.
be Sharpstown. Yeah.
That's a great story and goes to illustrate that if you know what you're doing, so much can be done. So one more thing before we wrap up, Alan. If I'm a new investor and or I'm a seasoned investor, how do I participate? How do I get involved with the White Picket brand?
Well, there's two ways. It's pretty cool. It's an interesting setup. What we started with originally was we're going to go out there and we're going to start a company that understands how to buy houses, not just how to rehab them, but how to acquire them and how to acquire them at deep, deep discounts. So what you need to know for that is how to negotiate, where to go to get those leads, how to market to them, and understand marketing. So understanding all of that is really key. And what we did is we set up systems. We put systems in place for everything. So we have a full-time marketing staff. We have a full-time GC to help us with our rehabs. And then we have a full-time acquisition staff to help us buy as many properties as we can, because we never stop buying. We put as many contracts on properties as we can, keep what we want, wholesale the rest. That's really the three key factors to being successful that have made us successful. And so what we've done is we've packaged that up. We've put together a package where beginning, I want to say end of November, we're going to start licensing our not only our knowledge but also our name. And so when someone wants to just get started, you mentioned I want to get started, how can I participate? Someone wants to get started and they want to avoid that 10-year learning curve that it's taken me to put this together, then essentially that's what we're able to do. We can say, here's the brand, here's, you name it, t-shirts, business cards, a web page, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Here's how to do it. Here's the knowledge. Here's the tools. Now get out there and do it. And so essentially we can put someone and get them up and running within about a month's time versus years worth of learning from hit and miss.
And it's an end-to-end solution as far as a new investor is concerned.
That's absolutely right.
And imagine, folks, if you're new, you can pay, and don't get me wrong when I say this, folks, if somebody else is hearing this, which is, if you're a real estate guru, you can charge somebody upwards of $15,000, $20,000, $30,000. I've heard people charging new investors as much as $100,000 in mentorship and coaching fee. Or you can go and become a partner and pretty much go out and purchase yourself a turnkey business.
Correct. Correct. So what we're doing is we're sharing our business plan. That is the main difference. I'm not a guru. I don't pretend to be one. I'm not the mentor that's charging $100,000 to show you something that is magical. I don't have any magic up my sleeves. I tell you exactly how I run my business, and it works for me every single day. So it's easy to reproduce. There's no reinventing the wheel.
And I know for seasoned investors, you guys always offer great investment opportunities, right?
Absolutely. So that's the coolest thing about it is there's enough deals to go around, and once you're producing enough, you get to the point. For example, my GC at about 5 or 6 deals that he's rehabbing at one time, he looks to me and he says, okay, it's time to flip the switch. I can't do any more. And so at that point, everything else that goes through here literally just gets marked up a bit and gets wholesaled out. And we continue to make money that way.
Perfect. So if you're a investor looking to put your money to work, then White Picket is a great place to put your money to work for you.
Absolutely.
Where's my kickoff and my payoff for turning you on the licensing concept, by the way.
Thank you very much. That was a great idea. That was a really great idea. I talked to our attorneys, and they actually really liked it. So we're gonna have to treat you to some steak, a really really
Awesome.
big one.
Alrighty, man. Good stuff. Well, Alan, thank you for speaking with us this morning. Before we wrap up, how do folks get in touch with you?
It's pretty easy. We have the main thing that people want to do is check out our website so they can see who we are, what we do, profiles, and everything is on there. And that's www.white, like the color, WHITE, Picket, PICKET, Realty, REALTY.com. So www.whitepicketrealty.com. If you want to email me personally, it's really simple. It's Alan, my name, ALAN, at whitepicketrealty.com. And anything that I can do for you guys, any questions I can answer as far as wholesaling, as far as rehabbing, those are the two main things that we're really, really good at, and what we're going to be helping other people here in Houston and hopefully in some other cities start doing. So here soon. If I can answer anything, if I can help anyone out there be successful, that is our goal. We've started that with that mentality since day one. By the way, we started a year and 10 months ago. We'll be a 2-year-old company as of January 1st, 2014. And AG, correct me if I'm wrong, we're probably by far the fastest growing real estate investment group in town. And
I
it
would,
comes,
I would imagine so. Yep.
in my opinion, it stems from finding ways to work together with other people, helping other people grow, and also growing ourselves from it.
Well, wonderful to talk with you, Alan. You guys add great value to the local market. So thanks for the call, and we'll folks, we'll see you around.